Richmond is a city built on history and reinvention, grit and artistry, movement and stillness. And over the past few years, there's been a pretty noticeable shift. People are taking their health a lot more seriously through fitness and recovery. There's been a growing desire to slow down and reconnect with ourselves in a way that feels intentional. And what's interesting is the types of spaces that we are seeing this type of shift happen in. We've talked a lot about third spaces on this show, and we will continue to do so today. What started as a personal passion is quickly becoming one of the most unique wellness offerings here in Richmond, including wood-fired saunas, cold plunges, and curated gatherings that feel less like a service or membership and much more like a ritual and a social club. Behind it are the two founders that have traveled the world and have had many unique bathhouse and social wellness experiences, and they felt that this type of experience was missing from Richmond. Meet Julien and Wes McLaughlin. They are two of the only certified sauna masters on the East Coast and certified Sherpa breath and cold instructors. Today, we're getting into the story behind Pyre Sauna, which is a tech-free sanctuary offering communal sauna and cold plunge experiences designed as a way to foster human connection. Julien, Wes, welcome to the show, and thanks for being here.
Great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So we're super stoked to have you guys. Obviously, we've gotten to know each other kind of alongside growing our brands at the same time, so it's like humble beginnings. You guys have seen us start from the very beginning. We've seen you start from the very beginning. And we've had a chance to get to know each other as entrepreneurs and friends that, are all operating here in Richmond together at the same time, which has been super cool. We're super grateful for you guys, and stoked for you to be on the show and dive into all the cool, fun wellness craziness that's going on here in Richmond.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Richmond's full of cool people. So getting to meet you guys was serendipitous and really beautiful. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first time we all hung, you gave us the coordinates for Pyre.
Down this road to this address, down this alley, and we show up, and I'm not always a skeptic, but when I show up to a house, when I think in my mind I imagined a business, I had some questions, but
we called it the secret garden for a reason.
There you go.
It was the line between business and house.
It was a secret garden, but as we got up, we got out of the car, we walked to the alley and to the back entrance of the compound, if you will. Pleasantly, maybe the expectations were exceeded. You had already set up your place of residence at the time in a manner that just immediately showed me that you all are serious. You mean business. You're very passionate about what you do, because it was very well curated, very well set up. Then you introduced us to the idea behind Pyre and what you offer people. And then we just kind of chopped it up. We just kind of had some conversations. We kind of hung out, if you will, put the phones down. We hopped into the sauna for a little bit. You and Julien got into the cold plunge. I watched with awe, because I still don't understand how you do that. But it was such a unique experience. But at the end of it, we were both like, that was so needed and just base level human needs were taken care of after, I call it a couple of hours of hanging out with you guys. It was really cool.
Yeah, and that one time we had never met before. We had only, exchanged some emails or Instagram messages before that. But even after that 2-hour session, you all walked away, and Julien and I both commented on how we were looking forward to doing it again. And that's you experienced it, the power. We were there, fully present with one another, nothing else to put our attention on other than ourselves and each other. And I walked away feeling deeply connected and excited to spend more time with you all. So we're looking forward to doing that more.
And not to mention, the second we sat down and started talking, it immediately turned to aliens.
Yeah.
So, that's the ultimate icebreaker, right? Yeah. Shirtless, sweating, aliens.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Well, and as it's not the elephant in the room, but it's just so obvious that Richmond is growing and changing and shifting so fast that people that are maybe similar to all of us in this room, that are maybe building a brand, or they're a freelancer, or they work for some sort of creative company of some sort. There's so many brands launching and so much happening that people just forget to take a time to slow down, or they know that they need to, but they just don't know how or what to do. And I I have a cold plunge at my house, and I would like to think that I'm somebody who's wellness forward and that I do take time to slow down and stuff. But then you don't realize how much you aren't doing that until you spend time doing it intentionally in the way that we did. And that was, that was like many months ago now. Yeah. And we're still connected, still friends. Here we are today. And it's insane to see the like progress that you've made just since that time of like hanging out together. And yeah, sure enough, you can sit down with people you don't know, and there's something like unique about sharing an experience like that. Like whether it's the, intense increased temperature of a sauna or like whatever. And I'm sure you guys will be able to elaborate on it, but it's like, it's just a unique setting, and it is like a little bit more intimate, it's like, intimate sounds weird, but you know what I mean? Like it's, a couple dudes hanging out, and there's something about it where it lets you just kind of just open up and talk about whatever. And it was definitely a cool, like unique, needed experience. So what got you guys into the world of wellness as a whole, especially as two people that like live here in Richmond? Like, do you remember a time in your lives when you maybe weren't into it, and then obviously that, something changed, something happened along the way to where you realized that you care deeply about wellness and being healthy and, experiencing health on another plane, if you will? Like, do you remember a moment?
Yeah, I mean, so I think wellness has always been a part of my life in one way or another. Growing up in the West, it's like you exercise, you play sports, you eat healthy, whatever that means for you, right? But yeah, I mean, the big turning point for me, which put me on the path, on this path, is my mom passed away suddenly about 5 years ago now. And I just had a huge awakening about, what life is, how I want to interface with it. I started facing a lot of my fears and insecurities. And one of the things that opened the door for me was yin yoga, actually. It forced me to kind of slow down, and it connected emotion to physical sensation. And so it started with yin yoga, but then it kind of eventually led to sauna and cold plunging. And I mean, what you're saying right there around like, we can maybe elaborate on what's happening in the sauna. We sort of can, but we can't. There's just a magic to it, And I think what we've experienced both here and abroad, and just anytime we do a sauna with other people, is just there's some unspoken thing where people immediately feel happier, more willing to connect, and there is that intimacy, and we see a lot of importance in it. It can be very healing.
Yeah. And how about you?
Well, when you step out of a sauna and no one's stepping out and, saying, oh, I feel 17% healthier or whatever, you can look at all the studies, look at all the numbers for why it's good for you. But really the power of the practice is you feel it. Just come feel it. That's all it is. For me, I wasn't very wellness forward for the majority of my life. I partied a lot when I was younger. I was doing a lot of things that taxed my body. But back in 2020 to 2022, the responsibilities of life started growing. I became a father. I got married. And I found that to show up in the way that I wanted to be who I wanted to be in the world, I had to start caring for myself. And so it became less of a want to do and more of a have to do. And so running, biking, the actual physical movement was very important. But coming to sauna, which also fulfills a social need, which is like a 1-2 hit, you're just amplifying both. Your social wellness is getting increased as your physical wellness, as your mental wellness, as your emotion, like everything just kind of is amplified through that. I found that I, as a new father, deeply needed it. I could go spend 20 minutes in the sauna and get the benefits of weeks of exercise and the social benefits. And something you touched on earlier about being busy, like we're all incredibly busy, but by going and doing a sauna with friends, I'm not taking away from energy that I have tomorrow. I'm not going out and having a beer and worrying about being hungover or worrying about not being able to be my best. In fact, I leave socializing and sleep better. I actually get all of the benefits that I want of social connection with all the other benefits that I need to show up. And Julien and I, in this practice, the word that we always come back to is capacity builder. It increases your capacity and fills your cup to where you can show up in life to be who you need to be for your responsibility and who you want to be.
I really like that. I don't want to interrupt you there.
Well, yeah, and I mean, capacity building is definitely something that we throw back and forth. But I think a lot of the sauna culture that we're starting to see develop in the West is very like scientific, and I think the big thing is like we have so many excuses to be productive, right? And so having a way to fully disconnect from that mindset, fully disconnect from your phone, disconnect from responsibility, and just exist, be present, relax.
Yeah.
That's also the other added benefit of the practice. You're getting all the health benefits, but you're also just getting to relax without thinking about it,
Yeah.
It's a really good point.
The capacity builder angle or kind of point of view is really interesting. And I think all of us together, we're very busy. We're also building businesses. We're also working with lots of people, and we're doing things, even like micro tasks all the time, right? So you think about the way that I think a lot of people would view entrepreneurship versus a 9-to-5 is like you trade your 9-to-5 for 24/7, right? You work all the time in some form or another on this project that you've committed to, which is very, very rewarding. But it doesn't oftentimes leave you with a lot of mental capacity to consider what else are priorities for your well-being, like social connection and health and wellness and your diet and your relaxation time, your personal time, because even your personal time is usually spent thinking about how you can better, work and solve the problem of making your business a success. And the capacity builder, there is an overabundance of efficiency and effectiveness applications and practices. There's lots of teachings, there's lots of coaching, there's lots of new tools that are supposed to improve your ability to be successful, to do more work in a given period of time, to retain more knowledge in a given period of time. But what all of those things are missing is the human you part of it. It's like you are not a robot. So using a system to try and solve a problem that isn't built by systems is a little counterintuitive. It also may even seem like the term like woo comes into play a lot. You look at something that someone is designed for efficiency and for you to be more effective as, an entrepreneur or a business owner, but it may cover all of the bases, 90%. It may get all of that right and maybe does actually add a lot of benefit to your life and to your work. But there's still that 10% that you can't really quantify. And to your point, Wes, yeah, you can use the data that a lot of these sauna practitioners may use when it comes to the benefits, but you can't quantify what it is like to sit in there and commune and be intimate with another person. Okay? I'm thinking about that time that we had in the sauna with you guys. A lot of things happen that I think are underestimated and maybe surprising. The social aspect of it, I can see it from both sides. Is some people may be very willing and open to be social with strangers, and others very willing and very not willing and very uncomfortable being open with strangers. But you're kind of at the whim of your circumstances. You're in a locked box under immense heat and pressure.
Not locked.
It's not locked up.
You can get out.
If
But
you ask nicely.
you're committed. You're in this box with maybe strangers, and you're all experiencing the same thing at the same time. And the stuff that gets in the way that causes anxiety in a social scenario is completely removed. Your phone and anything else, like a dinner table, the food, lighting, a weird, venue or what have you. And you just have you and the person that you're in there with. And something magical happens. It's like, yeah, I remember how to do this. This is not as hard as I thought it was. Meeting people isn't hard as I thought it was. And talking to a stranger isn't as intimidating as I thought it was. And that, I think, is a very specific point that if you haven't done it, you really need to try it.
And Julien and I have put so much intention into what we want this to be. And the way that we've looked at it is, if we focus on the performance and fitness, like all of those benefits, you're going to miss out on the rest of the practice. Whereas if you focus on the social and the emotional regulation that can come from these practices, you're going to get the performance benefits. You're going to get those even if you're not showing up there. But if we build a place where people just come sit silently, they're missing out on a whole host of things. And I think there is absolutely a space to go inward and use these practices to connect with the self. We are doing guided sessions as well, where we'll be leading people through different modalities that allow them to connect to themselves. Think more like a yoga class or, community conversation, where it is very guided. But for the most part, we feel that by focusing on the social, everything else just kind of comes along for the ride.
Yeah.
And I mean, you were touching on kind of the plight of the entrepreneur. We're on 24/7, right? But I think that's a problem that kind of extends to everyone now, right?
Yeah.
We're in a society where productivity is the currency, right? And on top of that, we're always connected to a phone, always connected to what we need to do next, right? And I think it's part of the reason why people are so drawn to Europe. Because, you go to France, Italy, wherever, and you slow down, you take long lunches, you go on more walks, you get more sunlight, you spend more time with people, right? And so part of the idea and part of the reason this practice is so popular in Europe is forces you to slow down. There's literally nothing else to worry about, nothing else to do except just sitting and experiencing it. And imagine if you could incorporate that into a weekly routine. What if the word routine is thrown out the window and it's just, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to go relax and sweat for a couple hours, take care of the mind, body, and soul. And that's it.
Yeah. So the, like you guys have been all over the world, right? You mentioned Europe, you mentioned France. Like you guys have done a lot of traveling and experienced different bathhouses and things like that. What was it that happened along the way? Or was there like a specific place that you visited where you thought, wow, I wish this was home. I wish this was back home. Like, do you have a trip that stands out?
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because I'd say the one that kicked off the whole project for us was actually in Charlottesville, of all places.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not far.
Yeah. For my birthday 2.5 years ago ish, Wes took me to the Rivanna River Company, which is like a rafting, kayaking spot in Charlottesville, but they had just opened a sauna. And so it was the middle of November. It was pretty cold. And so we went into the sauna with, I think it was 2 couples and then us. So 6 people total. And you would plunge in the Rivanna River, which was freezing cold. And then you would go do sauna. And we were in there with like an old Russian guy and his wife. And he was talking about the difficulties of being a Russian in America during the Russian-Ukrainian war. We were there with a Peruvian guy and his wife. And they were talking about music and culture and what it's like to be an immigrant. Wes had just become a father and we were coming out of COVID, emotionally starved or socially starved rather. And there was just something about that experience that got all the fireworks going off on our brain of like, oh my God, there's something here. I mean, Richmond is so full of cool people, musicians, artists, entrepreneurs, chefs. There's so many people who you want to meet and connect with and that you're constantly surrounded by in grocery stores, coffee shops. But having a space where, you're in a bathing suit, it is intimate. There's something that happens where the walls are removed and you're encouraged to connect with people on that human level. Yeah. I mean, that Charlottesville experience kicked it off, but I mean, it's been every single place we've been, even with the language barrier in mind. There's always been that kind of connection.
Oh, it's so cool. Is there maybe one like internationally that stands out for you, Wes? Like, or one that you really enjoyed, or when you think about like, oh, I can't wait to go back there. Like, is there one that stands out?
Yeah. So my experience internationally has been much more of the insular experience. So I did one in Switzerland, but it was like me and my wife. It wasn't, a bathhouse with a bunch of other people. And I will say that for a lot of cultures, they do approach more of the quiet, spa-like experience.
Yeah.
And every culture has their own take. But as Julien said, really there's aspects of each that we've drawn on. And I mean, it's in a lot of ways the American way. And the sauna and just social wellness industry in general is just being defined in America. And so we are leaning really heavily into let's make it a social space. Let's make it a space to build resilience against modern life more than just another performance hack. Let's go sit by myself, because how much time do we spend by ourselves alone with technology, watching TV? Like, we have so many opportunities to be alone, even in public. Go to a coffee shop nowadays, most people are in headphones or there with a laptop being productive, and we're constantly being productive. And we're just trying to take the best aspects of each to really define what we want it to be.
Mm.
And coming out of that Ravenna sauna, I think what we were most inspired about is the ripple effects outside of the sauna. This is like a training ground for socialization. You come in and you start getting more and more comfortable just having conversations with strangers, and you start to realize, wait, you're a person just like me with anxieties and dreams and problems and solutions, and you have a perspective that's valid. Like, how does that ripple out when we all can connect and talk to each other? What does that do for society, for democracy, when we suddenly can meet each other as human beings instead of just like all living in an insular world?
Yeah.
So,
When you mentioned productivity, right? It's funny. It's not funny, but it's kind of funny how like productivity has become this thing that's almost anti-productive, right? It's like every productivity software tool is like bloated with features, and it's like overkill. It's like overstimulation of information. Even being productive in the sense of like the coffee shop thing, it's like most people are at a coffee shop because they have to be productive, but they actually don't want to. They have like this desire to just be around social activity and around the energy that's there.
Totally.
So it's like they're actually there for a different reason than being productive. They're just being productive inside of a space where they feel that they're doing the thing that they actually want, which is like, oh, I need this energy. I need this vibe. I need this like something moving around, or the socialization, or I want to be around people, but I also have to do work because I have to work. Right. And yeah, it is, like a shifting of the American way, where people are realizing that productivity is anti-productivity. It's like actually the less you do and the less information you take in and the less tools and apps and softwares and devices you have, the more productive you could actually be. It's like we have a lot more time in a day than we think we do.
Totally.
And it's just like, it's kind of stolen from us. And I think people, and I'm guilty of this too. It's like you think, well, I should really be meditating, or I should really take time to do a cold plunge. You know, the truth is like meditation takes 10 minutes, cold plunge takes 5 minutes, sauna takes 30 minutes or less, right? And it's not that much time, but we're more than happy to waste an hour doom scrolling on our phone.
Right.
You know, and then
it's easier.
Yeah. And then when it's time to do something, it's like, oh, I have to go do this thing. I know I should go do cold plunge, sauna, meditation, take a break, read a book, but it's like, oh, I don't have time to do that. The truth is, we do have time to do that. We just choose not to, or we don't know of an easier way to access it.
Well, it's a lot easier to do that kind of stuff with people, you know? I mean, it's why group fitness classes are so popular. But yeah, I mean, like you can get into a good routine of meditation or cold plunge, but it's going to fall off. Whereas when we're doing a session together or with friends, I'm way more likely to get into the cold plunge, way more likely to do it. And also, to jump around a bit, I do have an international bathhouse experience worth mentioning too.
Yeah, please.
So there's this place in London called Hackney Community Baths. Super cool, really gritty. I went to their first location in Hackney. I think they're up to 15, and they're just opening one in Paris now too, which is really cool. But what they did was they put a sauna. So they found an old abandoned bathhouse actually from the 19th century. And they went to the backyard and put a sauna, and they got an old whiskey barrel from the 19th century too and turned it into a cold plunge. And it started as just a sauna and a cold plunge, and it just kind of blew out into this outdoor sauna village. Cold plunges, saunas, super artsy, gritty, cool. It felt very much like the neighborhood. It was a representation of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so they built that one. And when I was there were people from Denmark and Finland and Spain and France and the US. I mean, people from all over the world were there connecting, talking about music and art and food. So they opened that one, and then it just exploded. You know, London is full of these concepts. Another really cool one was called Sauna Social Club in Peckham. Two artists who were best friends decided to open one of these spots, and they have like DJs and poetry readings. I mean, truly the practice is a blank canvas to do whatever you want. Right.
Yeah.
And at some point, we got to talk about other shit too.
Yeah. You're speaking my language now, that the social club with the sauna, with the DJ, maybe there's an art installation, maybe there's a spoken word night, maybe there's, a fashion
Totally.
Exhibition or what have you. And I love all of that, because those are very social things. And I think when I think about this entire scenario that we're kind of articulating in different forms, the issue is very simple, but nuanced to a point where it's almost like impossible to like pin down as to where it stems from. And it's very simple. It's connection, person to person connection. That's the thing that we're all lacking. We were talking before off camera that there's still some holdover from COVID where people are like, I need more connection. But in theory, the response after being locked up for a year or for, 6 months, 18 months, 2 years, not locked up, but locked down, I should say.
Right.
Lots of locks.
Let's clarify. But you think the rebound would be, let's immediately go back and start being social again. And
Right.
there were pockets of that, but for the most part, it was very timid. It was very fear induced. Like, well, I want to do this, but I want to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
And that, because this is America and industry is built on immediate needs a lot of the times. And that spawned an entire new generation of people that only lived on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And then people like us that are around our age have grew up before the internet and know what it is to be, connected with your friends and go out and do things. We still kind of fell into this trap. And I'll speak for myself. That's the safer route. It felt like the safer route. It's like, I don't want to potentially put myself at risk. I would rather keep what I have than potentially lose what I've built. So I'm just going to take a step back. I'm not going to go out as much. I'm not going to, go to the thing. I'm not going to go to the show. I'm going to just play a video game, watch some TV and play on social media. But the unfortunate side effect of that is exactly what we're talking about, is the rebound effect. Is now that everyone's been doing that for a few years, we all notice that we need it, but we don't really know how to get it.
Right.
Because the source or the solution that's advertised is, well, you need to be more productive. Well, you're not connected enough. You need to be more connected. You're not social enough. Here's another social media platform. You don't know how to communicate. You're not productive at home. Go to the coffee shop. You can work at the coffee shop. If you don't want a coffee, go to a co-working space. You can sit in a cubicle by yourself in public. Listen to how kind of ridiculous that it sounds at its core.
Oh, totally.
It's like you left your house where you were by yourself, sitting in front of a computer / almost just staring at the wall, to go and sit around other people that are sitting at their computers or staring at the wall. It's like we want this social thing, but we're kind of afraid to really embrace what it is to do that, for lots of different reasons. And I love that the sauna just removes all of that. It may take a little bit to set in. It may take one session. It may take a few. But after a while, it clicks. Like, oh yeah, I think I knew I needed this, but I didn't know how to get it.
Well,
It's very cool.
Something Mike touched on earlier is the potency of doom scrolling versus the potency of meditation. Let's take those two examples. You open up Instagram, within how many seconds is your dopamine firing? And how quick, back to back to back, are you getting those hits? You have trillions of dollars over decades of research on how to hijack our brains and get that little bit of dopamine squeeze pointed right at your brain. Versus meditation. You sit in over a 10-minute session, you might not even fully settle in. And then doing it over a couple weeks, suddenly you're getting the hang of it. And then months to years, like, oh my gosh, now you can really get the benefits and the dopamine is coming. But like, there is a potency to dopamine as well, because with social media, you're getting these quick spikes. But think of it like you're getting sugar. You're getting the quick hits of sugar. With meditation, it is a slow drip.
Supplementation.
Yeah. But with that, you're getting true nutrition. And so what we love about the sauna is you're doing something where you're getting a bit of both. You step into the sauna and within 15 minutes, your endorphins and dopamine, like it's going off. Now add on that you are talking and connecting with a human being in an environment that is really predisposed to it. I mean, it's the best of both worlds. And it's why we think that so many people who are not into health and wellness, so many people who are not interested in the performance benefits, this is for them.
Yeah.
Like you literally just have to show up and be. Even being a fly on the wall and listening is a great time. There's times where I go into a session and I'm a little burnt out. I can be a bit of an introvert and, I just sit back and listen. But when I leave, I'm still getting the physical benefits and I'm still being surrounded by people. Like Perry, you were touching on being in a coffee shop just to feel surrounded by other people. I actually get to be engaged in the conversation too. I'm not just overhearing, I'm not getting the chatter. I have an invitation to jump in whenever I want, whether I choose to or not. And so it's such a special practice. And I think that it's really an antidote to that quick fix productivity culture where you walk away and you can actually be far more productive because you're slowing down, you're retuning the chemicals in your body to say, wait, what do I need to do now? And then I can go be productive or live my life.
Yeah.
Good for the ADD brain.
Oh,
That's
totally.
for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, we
absolutely.
call it a balm to, modern life in a lot of ways. The demands of, life, productivity, technology, all that stuff is really answered in the practice. And you were talking about the sauna, but the cold plunge too, which, some people understandably get freaked out by. I mean, it can be a bit intense, but they were doing research, you get a bigger dopamine hit in a cold plunge than you do from doing a line of cocaine.
Yeah.
And it lasts exponentially longer.
Days.
And so, I mean, it helps you regulate that, over stimulation of dopamine that we get using technology constantly, right?
Yeah. And not all dopamine is created equal, right?
Oh,
like
totally.
you can get dopamine from scrolling on your phone. Like you can get it, but one is draining and the other is energizing, right? And it's like, doing something like a cold plunge, doing something like a sauna, it's like there's a reason you feel better afterwards. And I read this book called The Dose Effect by TJ Power, I believe. And dose just stands for like the 4 chemicals: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And it's like, all those, like you mentioned, like the body chemicals, it's like your happy chemicals, basically. It's like, those are the things that make you motivated and like want to get up and do things and that, make you sleep better. And like, I think it's easy to be antisocial and unhappy and depressed when your dopamine is coming from a different source, right? Video games, your phone, it's social media, reality TV, YouTube, all those other types of things, so it's like a temporary solution because the decision is easy, where you could have a long-term solution when the decision is harder. So what would you say to somebody who is maybe a skeptic, maybe even though they're listening to this conversation, they're like, okay, interesting conversation, but dude, there's no way I'm getting in a cold plunge. I'm not putting my body in 50, 40, 30 degree water.
We got you in there.
Yeah.
Look, I did it once. I don't even, you know what? I'm not going to like harp on it, but I didn't really get the benefits. I can see, and I've heard the benefits, and maybe I need to try it again, but it was just really cold.
Yeah.
And like a little painful.
Yeah, I mean, so to kind of answer your question, and in so doing, hopefully convince Perry to give the cold a try again. I think the thing we would say to anyone who's skeptical is just come give it a try. Like it's a pretty potent practice. It is undeniable that you are sweating in a 200-degree sauna or cold in a 40-degree cold plunge, right? And you will feel better than when you walked in. I mean, as simple as that. And we're not here to demonize all the other ways that we get our dopamine hits. Life's complicated, and sometimes you just need a fucking doom scroll or watch a show, whatever. But what if you can add in this other really nutritious form of relaxation, restoration, stress relief, and everything? But, Wes and I, as you mentioned in your beautiful intro, are certified sauna masters now through a German sauna master school, but also cold plunge and breathwork instructors. And the thing that's really interesting about the cold is so much of it is dictated by our breath, right? And so I think we've all heard of Wim Hof before, and there's that, he's popular for a reason. His breath work's fantastic. But what he really encourages people to do is like this really upregulating breath to, kind of prepare your body for the cold. Whereas our philosophy is more, you get into the cold and your nervous system is fired up and you use your breath to soothe, to calm down, right? And if you can learn how to calm your nervous system when you're in that freezing cold water, you can stay in a bit longer, you get more of the benefits. And then when you run into a stressful situation in your regular life, you return to your breath and it's a lot easier, And going through the winter, I mean, I'm seriously affected by seasonal depression disorder. Doing cold plunges a couple times a week was the ultimate antidote to that. It made a massive difference. And so really simply put, if you're skeptical, come give it a try. We love, love, love talking about this practice if it isn't obvious already. And I think we can convert pretty much anyone to the sauna and cold plunge camp.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll give it another try.
Yeah.
and it is about intention too. Like if you're, I have a good friend who tried cold plunging before she had come and tried our experience, and she showed up and said, no, I've tried it. It's not for me.
Yeah.
And I asked a bit about her experience. She went to a spa, she got in the water, and she said, whoa, that's cold, and got out. And I said, okay, well, like, did you take a moment to like calm yourself, use your breath to bring your heart rate down? What did you close your eyes and slow down and say, yes, you are about to be cold, but you're safe? Like, all of these things that when, just like Julien mentioned, you go out into your normal life and suddenly your response, instead of freaking out when you get stressed, is to wait. I'm going to check in with my breath. I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to slow it down. She was like, yeah, no, I got in the cold water and it sucked. I was like, all right, let's give it a try. She got in, she stayed for like 5 minutes, man. She was, I was like, I would have been out by now, but she found her zone. She centered in, and at the same time, like, everybody has their own experience. If you show up and you say, I'm going to get in, and you do it, congratulations. You did it. If you set 30 seconds, like, we're not going to set what the bar of success is for you. Like, there's benefits. We can talk once again about all the optimal, but like, show up, see how you're feeling, and we're here to help. Like, we'll be there at pretty much every session, and we love guiding people. So
Yeah. And you also don't have to do it too.
yeah,
That's a big thing.
yeah, like, we're
But
not
I
going
mean,
to force anybody in.
We've guided so many people through it now, and it's so cool to see, especially the first timers. And I mean, we have a friend who got hypothermia in cold water, who overcame a lot of fear and trauma around cold water by getting in deliberately.
Yeah.
I also think about our friend Mark, who he's such a beautiful human being and was battling addiction. And when he got sober, he came and did a cold plunge with us. And I mean, and as a side note, for the sober community, cold plunging is an incredible, incredible tool. But Mark got in, big guy, big personality. He gets into cold water, he gets out, goes, whoa, I feel like I could fuck or fight right now.
And given the biggest hugs to everybody. It was, it was great big bear hugs for everyone.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome. You know, like, I think it's worth mentioning, and you did kind of touch on it. You're doing hard things is essentially like resetting your baseline of like your level of difficulty that you're comfortable with. It's like, yeah, if it was easy, everybody would do it. But there's
totally.
there's a reason to do things that everybody doesn't do. And, you know, for me personally, like, I was in a long-term relationship that came to an end. And like, that was a hard thing for me to get through and get over, because it just felt like a huge failure in my personal life. And through that experience, you're convinced like, oh, like, I'm a screw up, or I can't do something right, or, you know, maybe you don't have the outcome that you thought that you were going to create, right? And not to get like all into that, but discovering cold plunge and discovering cycling like changed my life. And if you would have asked me previously, I would have been in a totally different camp. I would have been like, yeah, I'm not into that. That's not my thing. You know, I don't do that. And it was seeing a thing about Wim Hof and his story about overcoming losing his wife. That convinced me to look into the whole cold plunge thing, you know? And I did. I went, like, a similar story in a way, where I walked down to the river and I was like, I mean, screw it, whatever. And it was like November, the water was cold, and I just got in and I was like, whatever, I can do hard stuff. Like, I'll do this on purpose. And I'm a bit of a masochist in that way anyway, right? It's like why I love cycling and all these other things, like, you know, hiking somewhere that people don't typically want to hike because it's dangerous or it's cold or whatever. I grew to love that stuff. And I think previously I didn't think of myself as somebody who liked doing those things. And so through cold plunge and through cycling, it changed a lot of how I approached my own motivation. And it shifted my dopamine habits and a lot of these different things. And I think it's just, even if you're someone who thinks that's not me or that's not my thing, it's always worth visiting, doing something hard, even if you may not ever revisit it again. It's like worth trying it at least once and just seeing what happens.
And the practice meets you where you are too. You know, like it helped me grieve the death of my mother, both the cold and the heat. Sometimes it's just fun. You know, sometimes you show up and you're like, I don't want a cold plunge, or I'm going to sauna for 5 minutes. Sometimes it's a social experience, more introverted. It really just meets you wherever you are too.
Yeah.
So,
and it's kind of fun being a crazy person. It's like,
yeah,
it's like,
totally.
let's get in here and just like be crazy, you know, like explore. Like, it's like, I wonder what will happen in my brain if I like do this crazy thing that like I was probably never going to do originally.
Oh,
It's
totally.
like,
We become
whatever
drug
happens.
dealers.
yeah. It's just androgynous, like from your body.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, I've come to kind of reframe what doing hard things, and particularly in this practice, but even in marathon running and stuff like that, really is. And to me, it's a form of self-love. You can look at it from the masochistic angle, or you can look at it as, I have a limited amount of time on this earth. I'm in this body. This is my perspective and my experience. How can I maximize it? How can I, explore not only the depth of it, but the breadth of it? And so doing hard things and building that capacity to do hard things really sets you up to have that little bit of extra willpower to go and do something you wouldn't have done before. And it stacks.
Yeah.
Before you, I mean, there's like the whole couch to 5K. That's where I started running. I did a couch to 5K, and I remember I hit that milestone. And then like years later, I was doing marathons, and now I'm interested in doing ultras. And it's like, it wasn't, if I had started just like doing hard things purely to like beat myself up or any of that, that's not very motivating. But
Yeah.
even getting in the cold plunge, when I show up, the thing that I always remind myself, because like Julien can attest to this, we've probably done it hundreds and hundreds of times. It's never easy. But when you sit there and you're going in, I always take a moment to just remind myself, I'm doing this because I love myself. I'm doing it because it is going to give me that little bit of extra willpower to stay calm when my kids are needing me to show up and emotionally regulate for them. It's going to make me a better listener for my friends, because it's going to give me just that little bit of extra edge to like hold on when my mind wants to wander. And so the self-love angle has done a lot of benefit for me in approaching these practices.
Yeah, I'm glad you make that point, because like my approach is maybe like the opposite of what most people are probably wanting to get out of it, in a way where I am sort of like, I'm into like the intense part of it, and I am like seeking out that difficulty, whereas like other people, it's maybe not their thing or what they want out of it, and yeah, it's definitely a self-love thing, and for me, I have like a particular approach, but it potentially doesn't align with like maybe this standard approach or something like that. So it's probably worth mentioning, like, yeah, I'm a self-described crazy person, right? Like I like I'm a bit of a wild man sometimes, and so I like that part of it. And I like to like intentionally go out of my way to do something where I'm like, I don't actually know if I can do this,
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, everybody is different, and needs different things. And it's probably, worth mentioning that for sure.
Oh, totally. There's no wrong way to do it. You
Yeah.
know, we all find it in our own ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
so
go
I
ahead.
don't mean to cut you off there, but as we're talking about this, like doing hard things, something that I think a lot of people could benefit from, and oftentimes maybe that's all it takes, is a little guidance. And as an adult, it may be hard to ask for help, to ask for someone to guide you through something, because it feels like, you should be old enough to know how to do this, and you don't want to seem like you're not capable of doing something. But you guys mentioned there's a guided aspect to these things. And I feel like that could even be the barrier for some people doing it on a repeat basis, to say, I'm pretty good at motivating myself enough to get there and try it once, but I might not come back, especially if I don't have all the mechanics fully understood. And I know for me personally, having someone break it down, give me the bits and pieces, the reasoning behind a lot of the things that maybe I don't initially understand, gives me great context and perspective on it, so I can really figure out, I was like, okay, the cold plunge benefits me in these ways. I'm also working outside of this to help myself in a larger capacity with some of these things at the same time. Maybe I can add that in for these reasons. And then it's like, okay, in the hierarchy of what I think I should be doing, maybe it's up a little higher now, because I fully understand what it is and why I would do it.
Mhm.
Is that kind of what you are saying when you're looking at or talking about the coaching and the guiding part of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one part of it, right?
Mhm.
We're always around to talk to people about the benefits and how to use it, how to use your breath. But what Wes was mentioning earlier is that we are doing guided classes,
Mhm.
inspired by a few different places. So we'd be happy to talk about. But Yeah, the guided class is specifically a way to help people get the most out of the practice, right? So it's going to be you and 9 other people. Our classes currently are limited to 10. And you're going to do 3 rounds of sauna, 2 rounds of cold plunge. We're doing them Thursday evenings for like kind of an end of week release, setting an intention for your weekend, releasing all the stress that you were carrying throughout your week. And then we have kind of our signature duo guided class on Sundays. So you do 3 rounds of sauna, 2 rounds of cold plunge, and we're pairing it with breath work, guided questions, some light movement, kind of yogic movements. We do silly circles. If you want to know what that is, you have to just come experience it. But we're blending scent, Aufguss, which is this German art of towel waving and infusing its essential oils into water. And so really we see it as a way of like helping people get the most out of the practice and, asking questions of people to help them kind of reflect on their own experience, but then connect to the people around them as well. Through those experiences, we've had people talk about, death of parents, difficult moments in their life, but also really happy moments. We've seen people start dating, become good friends. We ran our totally legal secret sessions for 4 months, and the amount of impact we saw it have in such a short amount of time was incredible.
I mean, dude, totally agree. Like even just hearing you talk about it, I cannot wait for your new location to be, fully up and running. You've got your soft opening coming up soon. Could you share the details for that? I think it's the 24th, weekend of the 24th.
So weekend of the 24th through the 26th. We're going to do a kind of a Friday night social sauna session for us. We're going to have like a DJ, NA drinks. It's kind of the alternative to going out to a bar, right? You want to go hang out, socialize with people on a Friday night. You don't feel like drinking. Not many people, or fewer people are drinking now than ever before. It's kind of the balm to that. And then we'll have open hour Saturday, guided class Sunday, and then we're going to start running regularly Thursday through Monday after that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And it's cool to think about how far you've come. I think about, right, I'm looking at this little hat here. So I'm thinking about how basically we did a guided session with you guys. We showed up.
That's true.
You were set up, set up in the yard. And it's not to, it's hard to help people envision what we're talking about, right? We show up. I like the gray one.
Yeah.
We show up and you guide us through this experience. And even though, yes, it's in, at your place of residence, at your home, it's in your yard, like you guys have top of the line, like equipment. I mean, I was blown away. It's like unbelievable.
Yeah, that was very impressive.
Yeah. So this isn't just like, a hole in the ground filled with a hose, like you guys have top of the line equipment, and to know that you've grown and built your brand to a place where you can really create an intentional space and kind of launch your business and brand in a way that I know people are going to love it. It's like, I cannot wait. I'm super excited about it. And for our first guided session, of course, we were, wearing the swimming trunks and stuff, but we had these on. And I'd love to fill in the gaps for people on like the history of sauna, the cultural aspect of sauna, because I think some people probably think like, oh, this is a fad, right? Or like, oh, this is just like some new thing, but this is not a new thing.
Yeah,
like this.
My gym has one. Like, should you just go to the gym? Why would I come and do this version of it? Like that. Maybe that's the consensus for some folks.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, just to touch on these wonderful hats we're wearing. So these sauna hats typically are worn, they're made of wool felt, and they'll trap the cooler air around your head, which means that you're not going to get as much heat to the head. It can leave you feeling a little dehydrated and just drained after doing too many sessions.
Dries your hair out too.
And then it also protects the hair.
Yeah.
So they're and they're also extremely fashionable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like you just look great, feel great. So yeah, we at our secret garden sessions, we made a point to bring these out, and it went from people being like, what is that? I have no idea what that was, to, people would show up and start gravitating towards the same hats. We started to see who was their favorites and who would choose different styles. And it became a fun part of the culture of our own, but it comes from Finland, Germany. I mean, so many different cultures use these. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, touching on the history a little bit, I mean, this practice, I think they recently unearthed some like what they suspect to be saunas from 10,000 years ago, And so, I mean, this practice has existed all over the world, from the Caucasus, Asia, Russia, Northern Europe, obviously, it's huge. And the sauna culture, as we know it today, is mainly coming from Finnish sauna culture. So saunas were ever present in ancient Rome, for example. But after Rome fell and Christianity was on the rise, sauna culture started disappearing, except for Finland. They held on to it. And I think it was the 1939 Olympics in Munich or something like that. The Finnish Olympic team brought a sauna to their Olympic village, and the Germans were like, what's that? And so they took it and made it a massive part of their culture. I think they when we were getting our sauna master training from a German school, they were saying it was like a quarter of all Germans sauna regularly or something like that. There's more saunas in Finland than there are cars. Like, I mean, it is absolutely prolific. But one of our favorite anecdotes, and I mean, we can get into the weeds of the history and the culture, but one of our favorite anecdotes from that training was learning about the Scythians, who were this nomadic people in what is now like northern India 10,000 years ago. But so they were nomadic, and they would do saunas before, after a hunt, before, after a battle. Women would do it post-birth. There were so many, rituals for them, but it was always linked to the burning of hemp seeds. And so we heard that. Wes and I looked at each other. We're like, we know what hemp is. We're hip.
I know what they're doing.
And we had this very by the book, older German instructor, very dry. Hand immediately goes up. Dr. Groening, what was the point of the hemp leaves or hemp seeds? He's like, aroma.
Humidity.
Yeah. He kept giving reasons. It's like, really? Anything else? He's like, they were using it to get high.
Yeah. Like, yes.
Yeah.
Giant
got it.
box.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, so they were hotboxing a sauna.
They're
cool.
hotboxing in the sauna.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, we thought we were being so clever after the Ravenna River Company, after we were coming up with the idea of bringing this to Richmond. We're like, man, can you believe like a sauna forward business and all this? And then we started looking around. It's like, oh, wait, we're literally talking 10,000 years of culture here.
Yeah.
We're not we're barely reinventing. Like, we're just making the Richmond version of it. It's such an artistic, creative, connected community here that we're really excited to have our own take on it. And so there's a lot of history and things that just at the core of the practice, like, you won't mess with. It's made with wood. We're burning wood. The actual build, like, they got that down pretty solid. But as we've talked and touched on throughout this conversation, it's really the intention. Why are we there? And so, Perry, you asked, why not go to the YMCA or Gold's Gym or something like that? I don't know about you, but when I go to the gym sauna, you can tell it's not the main offering. They're not cleaned. They oftentimes have char marks behind the heater, which is a sign of wood degrading, which will soon catch on fire. You are not allowed to really engage in sauna the way you're supposed to there. You're like, no one's adding water to the rocks, which is lolu, very traditional core part of the practice. I mean, there's so many reasons, and it all comes down to intention. At the gym, the intention is the post workout. I mean, I see people doing push-ups in there. I see people with headphones on.
Yeah.
Wearing trash bags and like cutting weight and stuff.
Right.
And like, as we talked about, all of those are valid uses. There is a benefit to being in the sauna for your performance, for your recovery, for your fitness. But we want to put human connection to others and the self at the core of all of it. And so that intention makes the sauna, makes the cold plunges not an afterthought, but we have high-end equipment from the best manufacturers in the country.
Give them a shout out.
Yeah,
Do it, Wes.
Cold Tub for the cold plunges. They make the best cold plunges in America. We went and toured their factory. They make everything from scratch. They write their own software for it. It is impressive. And then we have a Voyager sauna. They're a builder out of Minnesota, another, group of passionate, knowledgeable people. I mean, just incredible builders. So
we made a man drive 20 hours to deliver the sauna to us from Minnesota.
And then made him park it perfectly too.
And then we proceeded to move it and then repark it too. Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, the quality of the equipment is undeniable.
Yeah.
And, we've put so much thought into it. It's been now 3 years that we've been trying to open a bathhouse, and what that has changed drastically over that time. But all that time, all that intention, all the work we put into it, we hope that people experience it just by being there. But we don't want it to be obvious. We want people just to show up and be like, oh my God, that was an incredible experience. Not, wow, that's a really good quality sauna or cold plunge.
What you guys are doing, I mean, it feels very organic, very authentic. And I think let me explain Pyre to you, and then you can tell me what I get wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Cause I think when I think about what you guys are doing at Pyre, to me, because you mentioned the word bathhouse, right? And when I think of bathhouse, I think of communal gathering, and the fact that we're in a very fast growing city. To me, it starts to feel like a club, right? It's this is a social wellness club. You have your new location, which is Forest Hill area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
1000 Westover Hills.
Westover Hills. Okay. So you're in Westover Hills, and this is a place where you can have a membership. You can go, you can do one-off cold plunge sauna sessions. Maybe you have dedicated events. Maybe there's some live music. I know in the future you talked about maybe juices, maybe mocktails, maybe coffee, things like that. And just an open third space to relax, lounge, connect with people, be in a social environment, maybe guided yoga, maybe meditation, maybe sound baths, maybe, different kind of fun events, and then also guided sessions, right? So a guided session for people who really want to do, learn about the practice and really try to build it into their routine and stuff like that. And that's how I think of it, right? It's it's a social wellness club, and this is meant to be something where it's this is something I go, there are people who go and do hot yoga, a couple times a week, or they go do their Pilates class, or they go do solid core or whatever.
Right.
And this is a more, and nothing against those businesses or those practices, but this is a more intentional, authentic, grounded kind of experience where it's this is a third space, a social club and membership where I can go and be around people I'm familiar with. I can go here and disconnect, relax, reset, and be in a comfortable environment where I can do that. How'd I do?
Really well.
Okay.
I mean, I think better.
What would you add to that?
Considering it's in a new concept to the city, education is the hardest part. What is it?
Yes.
Why do this versus the gym sauna?
I mean, we could call this a bathhouse in Norway or Finland, and they'd be like, oh yeah, they would come experience it. They'd be like, yeah, we know what it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, you hit on the crux of the issue. Most Americans don't really understand what a bathhouse is. So social wellness club might connect more. But yeah, I mean, at its core, we're selling these, if we're really breaking it down, these 2-hour experiences for you to disconnect from technology, reconnect to yourself and the people around you, right? So we have 2 wood-burning saunas, a big kind of wood finish sauna, and then a tent sauna, which is in the Russian style. We're going to have cold plunges and then plenty of areas just to relax, unwind. We have fire pits, and then eventually adding in juice, water, tea. We'll have water, juice, tea, coffee.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have the free flow sessions, the open hours where people just come and use the amenities at their own pace. We also have the guided classes that we mentioned that are more akin to a yoga class, and then special events and then social events. So we'll have musicians, DJs, poetry readings, you name it. We constantly describe it as a blank canvas. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of yoga. I'm actually getting into Pilates more and more, and there's a real value to those practices. And there are fantastic studios in town, but it's still an insular experience.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a classroom with people, but you're having your own experience, right? You're learning from a teacher. Whereas this, even in our guided classes, it's always centered around being connected to other people.
Yeah, very cool.
With Pilates, yoga, you are doing it, and then you may talk with someone for 5-10 minutes before or after, but the culture is one of, and then you kind of leave it, you go, you'll kind of bump shoulders, you'll see the same faces, but maybe you smile at each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is 2 hours. You're engaged.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about your offerings, right? So like obviously there's different ways to engage. You have memberships, you just mentioned the 2-hour sessions. Like what is it that you provide and offer? And obviously your website, Pyre, I love the website, I love the branding, and I know that like it's laid out pretty well on there. But can you just kind of give us like a run through of like what are the different ways to participate and get involved with Pyre?
Yeah. So want to come try it out? We have a first timer intro deal. It's buy one, get one free. So our typical walk-in price is $39. So if it's first time, just go on. You'll get 2 sessions for the price of one. We also sell credit packs, and those can be shared. So when looking at really what we want this to be, we want this to be a community. We want people to connect. We incentivize that down to our pricing. It's like if you buy 4 passes, which can be shared with your friends, you get a deal. If you buy 8 passes, which you can share with your friends, you get a deal. And so that's a way where you can make it a date night. You can make it a, couples date night. You can make it a, you and your whole crew are going out. And there's just like, you can save because we want to encourage you to come and spend time together in this space. Those credits can be used for the open hours or for our guided. Really, it's all the same price there. And then we have memberships. So with those, you buy a membership. It's either $99 for 4 or $249 a month for come all you want, but you also get a bunch of guest passes to use. And those are for you to come use, but they are significantly discounted. That's for the people who want to fit this into their life. We try to make the practice as accessible as we can pricing wise. You get extra discounts on guest passes. So if you want to bring friends, they get a deal because they're coming with you as a member. Yeah. Anything you would add to the mechanics of that?
No. I mean, that's pretty spot on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been in the weeds again for
It's-
years trying to figure it out, but I feel like we're at a pretty good place with it.
Well, and obviously those prices, depending on when someone's listening to this episode, it's like obviously those prices are maybe subject to change in the future if they're listening to this way down the road. It's like, who knows, right? But I know, let's talk a little bit about the founding membership, because I know that you had mentioned maybe doing like a little discount for people who are listening to this podcast episode. So like, what is a founding membership, and then how would they sign up, and how does that work?
Yeah, so we are selling a founding membership between now and the end of our soft open, 25% off of an unlimited membership. We're limiting it to 30. So yeah, you just go on our website, you'll see a little pop-up, courtesy of Wes here, our fearless coder and creator. And yeah, you'll see the pop-up that is giving you the founding membership deal, and it's as simple as clicking it and purchasing it.
Yeah,
and
very
it's
nice.
for life. So
Yes.
if you purchase the founding membership, it's basically all you can come and use the space for $200 a month, really $199 a month,
Right.
for as long as you have it.
And not to mention, or to also mention, this is not going to be our only location. We have this first one, and we're going to really set our roots down at this location, but the idea is to expand and to have multiple, right? So you get this deal, it applies to all future locations as well.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a great
love it.
deal.
And so, so obviously people can go to, we'll link everything in the description, but the website's pyresauna.com, right? And if people use the code VeraHouse, just all one word, they can get 15% off anything on the website.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Everything.
Cool. I love it.
If you want to just try a session, try any of our other credit packs, it'll work for all of this.
Yeah. And obviously people, they'll see us there. Like genuinely, we're like, we can't wait to, check everything out, continue to be a part of it and see the new space and everything like that.
Well, the most exciting thing for us is just being able to hang out with friends, make new friends. I mean, the amount of amazing people we've met through this project, you guys included, is incredible. So the fact that you guys are excited and are going to be there is just a bonus to everything else we have going on.
Yeah.
Man.
And we just talked to Rest Fest, right?
We did.
Rest Fest is coming up. You guys are going to be there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we're going to have free sauna sessions for whoever brings a bathing suit. We'll have some sauna hats too. But yeah, we'll be there all day, and come check out the practice. We're also going to be raffling off a couple memberships and some merch as well. So
Yeah.
it'll be a good time.
Very cool. Yeah. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to Rest Fest. Looking forward to being back at checking out the new location and seeing all the progress that you guys have made. And
It's been a lot of hole digging,
Yeah,
a lot of cutting through
I'm
roots,
sure,
a lot
sure.
of building decks and
it's
fences.
a labor of love, but I'm sure the payoff is well worth the time put in for it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So where can people find you guys on social media? Because like your content is great. The way that you're documenting your journey, because it's one thing to see like the service that people offer and like learn about what they do and what they sell and what, and all that stuff. But it's been cool to kind of see the real like personal aspect of you building Pyre. I think it speaks to the organic, authentic nature of the brand. I encourage people to like check it out. So where can they find you on social media?
Yep, we're only on Instagram right now, Pyre_Sauna. Yeah, send us a message. If you want to come see the space as it's being built out, if you want to watch the show happen in front of your own eyes, you're welcome to do that too. So hit us up.
Very cool. And I know you guys have talked about maybe doing like some cool featured podcast episodes or maybe some different cool content shows or something in the future too. So that'll be really cool. And obviously we'll love to be a part of that however we can. So maybe one day in the future, we'll be doing a podcast episode at the Pyre space.
Yes, please do.
Yeah,
please
love that.
Yeah, that'd be super cool.
Totally.
Well, I think, speaking for all of Richmond, people need this, man. I really think that they do. And I'm not just saying that. I think that in the back of my mind, I've looked at, places like Equinox, like these high-end gyms, and I've been there and it's like, it's cool, but it doesn't really like scratch that itch. It doesn't check the box that I think people are really looking for when they sign up for memberships and wellness clubs and these other things. It's like, yes, you can, in theory, get healthy by going to these different, workshops and group classes and stuff. But I do think the human connection piece is what people are missing. I think we've lost it starting around COVID. I think with how fast this city is growing and all the changes and everything that's happening, all these apartment buildings going up, we're busier than ever, but we're less connected than we've ever been. And people are just looking to like slow down and chill. And I know Perry and I both, it's like we look for these like third spaces, social lounges, sober lounges, places that are revolved around good food, good people, good drinks, like nourishing the body, being healthy, and just fulfilling your potential. And as we've gotten to know you guys, I think that's what you guys are all about,
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can't tell you how grateful we are to have met the both of you, to come on the show, tell us a little bit about your vision. Are we forgetting anything? Are we missing anything? Is there anything else that we need to tell the people?
We can't wait to have you all. I mean, the whole city. You're invited. We can't wait to invite you into the practice.
100%.
Yeah. And thank you for having us, guys.
Yeah,
it's such a pleasure to be here. And what
You're
you guys are
welcome.
building too is incredible. Highlighting Richmond and beyond. I mean, it's so needed. We live in such a cool place at a cool time too. We're both locals, and seeing the city change can be bittersweet sometimes. And I know a lot of people are like, oh man, Richmond isn't cool anymore. But I frankly think it's getting cooler, and we need more opportunities to see that. And you guys are a great spotlight on the beautiful sides of Richmond. So thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you both. So man, Pyre soft opening April 24th through the 26th.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We really encourage everybody, please go check it out. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. At least go see what it's all about.
Totally.
Right. And so that's free, right? The soft opening?
No, it's half off our regular price.
Okay, half off. And they can learn about that on the website?
Yep.
Okay, so pyresauna.com. Go check out RSVP for the soft opening. And use the code VeraHouse for 15% off everything on the site as far as memberships and all that type of stuff. We'll link everything in the description.
Yep.
Check out Pyre at Pyre_Sauna on Instagram. Be sure to say hey to Julien and Wes. We'll see you at the soft opening. And congrats on all your success so far. It's just the beginning. And we can't wait to see how this thing evolves.
Yeah.
Always good talking with you guys.
Yeah,
likewise.
thank you guys.
Likewise.
This podcast was recorded at VeraHouse Studios in Richmond, Virginia, and produced by Perry Young and Mike Metzger.